just can't believe you're mine, mine. I just can't believe you're intelligent.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Valiant Minds podcast. I am your host, Tabitha Olatoya, and I am so excited to finally be here again with you guys and get to introduce to you someone who was featured in issue 8 of Valiant magazine. And again, I always say this, if you have not listened to any of the previous episodes of the podcast, make sure you go and check it out. And the first one was with Roland Achenjang, which is Who and Why You Truly Are. And then the second one was All About My City, which was issue 7 feature, All About My City of Chicago. So, introducing to you today, singer-songwriter Lyriq. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I am good. I'm so happy to finally be able to talk to you and have you here on the show today. I just hate that we are having tech issues. Just so you guys didn't know, we are having a little bit of some tech issues. She is actually based in the UK, in London. Am I correct?
In Birmingham.
In Birmingham, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So she's like at 9:30 p.m. over there, and I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, in the U.S. at 4:30 p.m. But this is so exciting. I've been wanting to say this for a while, being that I've been hyping up Valiant magazine on my social media for quite a while now, and I've been wanting to say they are going global, guys. We have someone who is based in the UK here with us today, so I am so excited. So Lyriq, please tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Well, I'm a singer-songwriter and producer from Birmingham, as we said. I've been doing this my whole life, to be honest, like since I was 4. So it's 21 years of solid musical work.
Wow.
So yeah, that's me really. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and she's my life. The reason I keep doing music.
I'm so happy to hear that. So, real quick, before we even go into the depths of talking about why you were featured and all the things that you do, please, where are you from, first and foremost? Were you born in Birmingham? Are you from a different country and then you moved to the UK? Where are you from?
So I was born in the UK, and then in my teens I moved to Zimbabwe, where my family is from, and I lived there for a year. I got signed out there, so it was my first taste of real musical business, I guess, the music business. So yeah, then I came back to Birmingham and I haven't really left.
That's awesome. So have you ever traveled anywhere else besides Zimbabwe and the UK?
Yeah, I was in France for a little bit. So I worked in France for a couple of months, which was really, really good. It taught me a lot about myself and gave me a lot of space to write. So yeah, I've been around a little bit, but there's a lot of places I still want to go.
Awesome. All right, so let's jump into who you are as an artist. You were featured in Valiant magazine issue 8 because of the fact that you are a singer-songwriter and you have all these different facets about being a creative. Tell me a little bit more about that. How did you get started in music? I know we read a little bit of your story, but I'd love to hear it from you, for our audience to be able to hear your voice telling your story.
Okay, so music was always in my house growing up. So my mum used to sing, my dad used to play the guitar, so I've always had music around me. And I started out when my sister was on stage singing I Believe I Can Fly, and she forgot the words, so I had to go and save the day, I guess. I ran up there with my little 4-year-old self and was like, I believe I can fly. From there it just didn't stop really. Talent shows, school choirs, and the rest of it just never ended.
Okay, so what else have you done besides music? I read a little bit in the feature. It says that you are you like to create. Is it just when it comes to music, or do you do anything else in the realm of being a creative?
I do quite a lot. So I paint, I make clothes, I'll build, if it's woodwork, I'm into woodwork and stuff. So it's just anything that I can envision in my mind. I try to make it in real life if I can. And cooking, I classify that as something that's creative. If you cook from the heart, it's a magic in itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what are you doing right now, or what have you done is what I should ask when it comes to your music?
So currently I'm working on a couple of projects. One that is like a passion project to me. So I'm making everything myself, from the beats to all the engineering, writing all the songs for me, because I just want to be able to say that I did that. And then I'm working on an EP. I'm always doing something musical. It's literally like my air. So
Yeah.
I wake up singing, go to sleep with music on.
Awesome. So are you like managed by anyone? Are you signed to any labels, or are you doing all of this all on your own?
So currently I work with Vintage Got Soul. They're a Birmingham-based music company. They're doing quite well at the moment, going global as well.
Okay.
Outside of that, I do things by myself. So Vintage Got Soul is like an artist management / development company. And then everything else, my production and stuff, I do by myself. And writing songs. It's a personal thing, I guess, for me.
Yeah. Are you planning on maybe hoping to be signed to a label, like a bigger label, or is this you want to stay as an independent artist for the most part?
I think everybody wants a little bit of taste of that label life, do you know what I mean? Like, as much as it's really pure to say I want to be independent, it's really, really hard work. So I would love a label to come through and be like, here, let me help you facilitate all of the things that you need to get bigger than you are now. Like, I would appreciate someone coming through and wanting to sign.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like everyone wants to live out their dream or passion in any facet. So that is the hope for you, being, featured in Valiant magazine, is to give you that platform in hopes of getting you one step closer to achieving that ultimate dream. So I wanted to quickly ask, being that you have done music for quite a long time, I'm sure that you have faced some crazy challenges. Is there anything in particular, even if it's being a woman in the industry, anything that you can kind of tell us to give us a glimpse into that world?
There's pros and cons of doing it, but I think as a woman, especially in the industry, you have to be really careful about where you go, who you go with, what you're doing while you're there. So I've learned in my younger years, a lot of the time you'll go to a studio and there'll be a lot of intoxicants and there's a lot of distractions. And what you really want is to be going there and really focusing on your craft. So I decided to learn how to produce and how to engineer for myself, so I avoided being in situations that made me uncomfortable.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a kind of a hard truth of the industry, but if you're young and you are very much into what you do, a lot of people are there to help, but there's a lot of people there to take advantage as well. So you have to be careful, but don't give up on the dream. So if you want to do it, find ways to do it.
Okay, I like that advice. So you guys heard her. If you want to do it, you got to find the ways to do it, and you have to keep pushing. Don't give up on that dream. So just to kind of switch gears a little bit, you mentioned that you have traveled to Zimbabwe and you've been to France as well, and all of this also included your music. Would you say that in those, are there different ways of how people approach music in these different countries, or when it comes to signing or singing, performing? What would you say is a difference in how?
I'd say out in Zimbabwe, there was a much more like pure essence to it, I guess. It was very much just singing in places where there were beautiful birds everywhere and zebras, and it was literally just whimsical. But when you're here, everything's very professional, which isn't a bad thing, but it's sometimes you feel kind of boxed in by the constraints of trying to be professional, whereas when I was out in France or out in Africa, I just felt a lot freer to just perform and kind of tap into a different energy. So yeah, it's a lot of that.
Would you say it's the same? So you said with being in Birmingham in the UK, it's a bit more professional. Is that the same for France as well?
France is very free. It's very, very like, they've got that culturally, they've got very like specific things that people tend to follow, like the way that they eat or the way that people dress even. But when it comes to music, they're very, very free. Like, very free. There's French hip hop, it's amazing. And like French jazz and stuff, it's really great.
Okay, so do you speak French and do you speak the Zimbabwean language?
I understand Shona, but my speaking of it is awful, and I speak very little French. Like, again, if I speak French to someone who speaks French, they'd be like, please speak English. So
I completely understand. I took like 9 years of French and I honestly could not hold a conversation. It's so sad. It is so sad.
It's really hard.
So, living in these different countries and you know, honing your craft, how would you say it has made you grown as a singer, as a songwriter?
I think it gave me the space to hear other things, because when you grow up in specific areas, you kind of have an expectation of what you would listen to. Like, you see young black girls, you're expecting them to listen to R&B and hip hop. You're kind of not expecting much of a range. So when I went to these different places, I heard so many different styles of music. Like I was saying, French hip hop, it sounds so different to like the hip hop that you and me would go put on today, but it's interesting. It makes you think totally differently.
And this has just to kind of reiterate a little bit, how has it made you a better songwriter, if it has made you a better songwriter and singer?
Just by giving me that different ear, I guess, because I wouldn't have had it before. I would only have the same influences as everybody else who grew up in my environment, but because I got that extra bit of spice here and there, it gives me a little bit more to take from, like inspirational wise. So I think it does help set me apart.
Okay, so what is your genre of music or artistry? Where would you categorize yourself with your music?
I always call it an R&B jazz fusion. So I am heavy on the old school R&B, backing vocals and like the style of writing, but musicality wise, I'm like in love with neo soul. So I try to combine that jazzy flavor with the R&B style and just kind of blend the two.
Okay. So who, if you don't mind my asking, I know you said that you tend to do a lot of it independently when it comes to creating your music, but you mentioned you like to, you know, put that fusion of R&B and jazz together. Are you the person that creates these, what would you call them? The beats? Is that what you
Yeah. So yeah, I make all the beats, I compose them myself. I've got a few songs that are made by close friends of mine who have done all of the beats and stuff, but in the past, I'd say year or so, everything I've released has been made by my hands. So I'm proud to say that.
That is really, really awesome. I'm sure it's not easy, especially being independent and trying to do it all for the most part by yourself. I know you mentioned earlier, you said your daughter is your motivation. Tell me a little bit about her and like, how is she such a motivation? Obviously it's a given, but I would love to hear.
Well, I had my daughter when I was in quite a dark place, so I always say to people, if it wasn't for her, I don't really know where I would be. She really like came through as this light, and every time I feel like I can't do music or I can't do life, I just look at her little face and I'm like, oh, I have to for you. I want you to see me like living my dreams, so you know that you can live yours. I don't want to ever make her feel like it's okay to give up on what you want, because I don't think it is.
Absolutely. That is so beautiful to hear. And would you say it's a little bit, because you hear people who are um, working so hard to achieve their dream and their passion. And a lot of times, some people who do have children, they see it more of a challenge. Would you say it's more of a challenge, or it's been easier to go after what you want since having your daughter?
It's definitely more of a challenge, but at the same time, I think when you know what you're doing it for, it makes it easier in a different way. Because before I had her, it was like, well, I can kind of blow up at any point and I don't really care because my time will come. But now I'm like, I wasn't really working that hard before. I was just doing it because I could. And now I'm like, oh, when you put the work in and you structure things around your children, you realize how much you can really get done and how much of a difference that makes. So it's just about managing your time and knowing why you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, wow. I like that. I like that a lot. I want to hear, just you to talk about not just music, but also because music is who you are. Music is
Yeah.
what you said. It's like breathing air for you. I guess what I could ask you is, what do you hope to achieve with your music? When people listen to you, when people hear Lyric, what do you want the audience, the listeners to feel and to take away from your music?
A couple of things. That's a really good question. For me, there's a lot of things that I want to communicate to other women, which is mostly just the self-love side of things, like really just to be so unapologetically in love with who you are that nobody can break that, because I've been through that and I don't want that for anybody else. And then outside of that, I just want to inspire people. I want people to think like differently, to hear something and go, I never thought of that before, I never thought of it in that way, and just kind of expand people's minds a little bit.
Okay, so are your lyrics lyric? Are your lyrics, when you write your music, are they more in depth based on life experiences, or is it more so more just laissez-faire type of thing?
A bit of both. So I'm never going to say that I haven't written those songs that are just there because it sounds like a good song, but there's a lot of things that I've written about, mostly more recently, that are really personal, and it's like I want people to know me, because knowing me shows you my perspective and shows you how I overcame certain things and how it could help someone else overcome those things, or if not, then they can just dance and sing along, which is great.
Yeah, of course. So the magazine is very, very big when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
And especially in this day and age that we're in. I mean, we're still kind of still in a pandemic, even though some people don't like to think that we are. And we've also been in a lockdown, and a lot of 2020 took a huge toll on mental health and people's minds. If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to if you don't want to. But what challenges have you faced as a singer-songwriter, or just in general with your mental health?
So I have social anxiety and depression. So when it came to lockdown, it was a blessing and a curse. In terms of social anxiety, went out the window because there was nobody to socialize with. But depression came through like a mofo. It's just it just had no respect for me all my life. But it was one of those things that forced me to go seek help. So I have a therapist now, and it's one of the best decisions that I made for myself, because I was like, if I can't help anybody else, if I don't help myself, you can't fill somebody up from an empty cup. So it taught me a lot about myself. It's been a hard year. I don't think it's been easy for anyone, but in that time, I guess it kind of makes or breaks you in a sense. You've got to find reason to just keep getting up every day. So
Yeah, for sure. Would you say that going through what we went through in 2020. And I know, you mentioned you went through depression and through the lockdown, through the whole experience. And then overcoming that, would you say that it made you more productive, or you took the opportunity as I'm taking care of me rather than I'm putting out more songs, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. I think for me, like I said, music is like my oxygen, and sometimes when you're in a bad place, you forget the things that make you happy. So I can get into a state where I don't listen to music for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what's wrong with me? And I'll put on a song. I'm like, oh, that's what happened. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those things that it really made me have to figure out whether music and doing something creative and art was going to make me thrive, or whether it was going to be like my survival mode. And I didn't want everything to be about being in survival mode. Like, do things that make you happy because you want to be happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that answer. So just to kind of switch gears a little bit, with being lyric, and, having this talent and skill that you do have as a singer and a songwriter, where do you hope to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you hope to be?
I want to be everywhere. I want to be all around the world. Like, my main reason for singing, other than loving it, is just I know it can take you everywhere. I know it's the real universal language. You don't need to understand a word I'm saying, but if you feel me, you feel me. And I want to feel that way around the whole world. I want to step foot in every country and just sing and have them sing my words back to me. That's just a beautiful thing to me. So I see 5 years time, all around the world. 10 years time, I want to be in a nice beach house somewhere, like just living off my royalties and being like, I love you, fans. You're amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank
you. No, that's amazing. That's where I would hope, to see you as well. I know for a fact Valiant magazine, they in the next few years are wanting to check up on people, see your progress, continue to elevate you, continue to promote your work. Because if we're not helping each other get to where we want to be in life, then what is the point of doing anything? So I'm excited to see where it is that you'll be going and what it is that you're going to do. If there is anything that you could say right now to anyone that is wanting to get started in whatever it is that they're passionate about or dreaming about, what advice would you give these people?
Start now. It's never too early and it's never too late to start. Start now. That is probably the best thing I could tell anybody to do, because practice makes perfect. If you think you're terrible now, trust me, if you keep doing it, you won't be terrible at that thing. And if you're amazing now, just think about how much better you can be. Like, there is never a point where you stop. Just start and keep going.
I love that. I love that. So if you guys are hearing this today and you have been going through some roller coaster of emotions where you're just trying to figure out if you should do this thing that's been nagging at you, or wondering if you should just stop at whatever it is that you have started, continue, keep going, or start now. It's never too late, like Lyric said. It is never too late to start and keep going. Because, and I always like to say this to everyone that I get on a podcast with, or anyone that I talk to about, whatever it is that they're wanting to do. The limit is beyond the sky, and there is room for everybody. As long as you are confident in yourself and you do what it is and you put in the work, you can achieve just as great of a success as anybody else out there. So that's all I have to say.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to say, whether it may be where people can find your music, what you have out there, or what it is that you have coming up? Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Just if you're interested in what you've heard today, or you want to hear my music, then follow me on Instagram at @officiallyric, and just take it from there. All of my fun stuff is on there, really. So.
Okay, awesome. And your music, are we able to listen to it, say, on any platform, Apple Music, podcast, I said podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube?
You can find it on all of the streaming sites, all of them. So
Awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
and by the end of the year there will be an EP out, so everybody look out for that.
I am excited. Are we able to get kind of like a sneak peek sound? Or a possible title, or maybe like a little verse here.
Every is top secret.
Not a problem. I understand. Can we get a little from one of your favorite songs that you've written? I know you love all your songs, but if we can hear just a little note of something or a verse of something that you've worked on before for our audience to hear lyric.
Okay, so trace your body with my fingertips, taste sugar when I kiss your lips. Your body's just too decadent. Oh, I just can't get enough of it. And that's a little bit of Sugar Rush. That's on my Instagram. So if anyone wants to listen to that, it's literally just on my page.
Awesome. That's Sugar Rush, you guys. You are amazing. You are so talented, Lyric. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go and listen to that once we get off here. Is there anything else that you want to give to our audience? A token of advice, whatever it may be?
Just a massive thank you for having me on here. And like we said before, if you've got a dream, chase it. Don't stop. Just chase that dream.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And once again, if you have not listened to previous episodes, make sure to go ahead and check that out soon. And as well as checking out Valiant's magazine. Lyric Story is on issue 8 right now, which is currently on the website. So make sure you go ahead and take a listen on that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can always email us at valiantsmagazine@gmail.com, or you can follow us and DM us if you have any questions on Valiant's Magazine on Instagram as well as Facebook. And again, Lyric can be found at Official Lyric on her social media platform. Thank you again, Lyric.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day, y'all.